Another wheel improvement video, this one focusing on the sort of slightly skinny and slightly too small wheels that you tend to get at the cheaper end, where you get the good casting, but wheels that are just a bit, they kind of look like they belong on something a bit smaller. So this is just an alternative to getting rid of the wheels and replacing them with something that you've pinched off something else or bought from somewhere or whatever. This is just how to make something of the original standard wheels that it comes with, because you very often can. I've slowed this section of the video down just so that I've got time to explain before the work starts. So yeah, it's heat shrink tubing, 16mm in diameter, cut into small lengths to make tyres, which will make the wheels slightly bigger. It will give them obviously a tyre and a tyre wall and a lip to the wheel. So to make the tyre, I'm cutting a length off the heat shrink tube that's 1mm greater than the width of the wheel. So measure the wheel first. So on this Mercedes that I'm starting with, it turned out to be 5mm. So I want the tyre to be 6mm, so that I've got that little bit of a lip that I can heat shrink to the rim. So I've got it all marked out on this bit of card now, so I know I've got all the different lengths. Like I know I've got a thing marked out for 5mm, 6mm, 7mm. You know, I'm really sort of upping my game a little bit with all this new technology, like these pieces of cardboard. But no, it does help to, if you mark it out and measure it out like this, it does help to make sure that you've got a piece of heat shrink tubing that's just the right width to be able to, because you want it to be even all the way around. So it's all nicely marked out here. So as long as you get your measurements right, as long as you make sure you're measuring out 6mm and then another 6mm, there's no reason why you can't do two at once. So I've got them cut now, so they're the tyres, basically. And they should be just right. They don't turn out to be, but they should be. So the acrylic pens, they're just thought I'd try them out instead of the usual sort of metallic markers and things like that. They were only cheap. I think it was £5 for 30, something like that. And they turned out to be a lot better than expected. Quite a wide variety of colours. I thought this colour might have a sort of simulated kind of copper effect, even though it's not metallic. So yeah, I'm just measuring out the tyres, making sure that they're. I have to trim a little tiny bit off, because when I tried it on, it was just a little bit. It just left me with a little bit too much of a lip, which if I'd have heat shrunk it like that, it would have looked quite stupid and made the wheel centre really small. So I'm just shaving a tiny little bit off. All you can really do is just use your judgment to make sure you're taking an even amount off, because it's probably less than 1mm. But I've marked it out with one of the markers, and I'm just very, very carefully cutting along that line. It'll probably reduce the width of it by 0.5mm or something like that. I probably cut the original width a little bit too wide, rather than it's that I don't actually want a millimetre extra. So anyway, it's worked out all right this time. So I've put a bit of paint on the wheels already. That's not the last bit of paint that they're going to receive. This is other than measuring it up properly, this is the next most important stage that you do, because you've got to fit it, make sure the wheel will still rotate with the unheat shrunken sort of tyre on there, because that'll give you an idea of how well the wheel will rotate once it is heat shrunk. So if it spins freely like that, then that's fine. And then you've just got to make sure that the lip that's standing out, the lip that's protruding, so to speak, is the same all the way around. Once you're happy with that, then you can get on with the heat shrink bit. So just 1 or 2 second bursts like that all the way around. I think I've actually measured it, and the ideal burst of flame that you give it is actually somewhere between 1 and 2 seconds. Don't go over that, because you can end up melting the wheels. And once you've done that, that's it. There's no going back. So once the heat shrink's done, paint the inside of the wheel again. But this time, as well as painting the centre, hold the pen sideways and go right round the inside of the sort of new rim that you've created with the heat shrink tyre, and that'll sort of expand the rim, or give the impression of the rim being expanded. As you can see there, when I just held it the other way around, you can see the wheels kind of look bigger already. So yeah, that's fine. The wheels rotate freely. This was just with these acrylic paints, you can just do a little bit of experimenting. I don't think I was that happy with how that looked. So yeah, I just ended up going over the centre with some silver. But the outside of it is still that sort of dark bronze colour that I used before. So going on to the VW. So we've already cut the lengths of heat shrink, and we're just at that stage where we're just making sure. I thought it'd be good to just have a close up of just making sure that the lip is the same all the way around. And once you're happy with that, off you go. Get it lit up. But again, just watch how long you're actually holding the lighter to the thing for, because I mean, I think it's with the cheaper end, the wheels, I don't know if they're made out of like less stable plastic or whatever, but they'll melt quicker than because you can do this technique on the branded stuff as well. You know, Hot Wheels, Matchbox wheels, they'll all take to this very well. The reason I'm doing it with the cheaper wheels is because they're often slightly underwheeled. The cars themselves look a bit underwheeled, so it's really necessary to do something with the wheels. A lot of the time with Matchbox, you might want to leave the wheels exactly as they are. So again, just holding the pen sort of sideways, go around the inside edge just to create that kind of silver lip that makes it look like the wheel's a bit bigger than it really is. So with the VW, I used a slightly thicker. I gave the other side a slightly thicker tyre than the first one, just as an experiment, just to see which looked best. So we're coming up to the results now. So we've got the silver Mercedes with its original wheels, and that's with them altered. It's quite subtle, but the difference is definitely there. And with the red one, I did something a little bit different with this. I was a little bit, you can see the comparison. That's like a live before and after. There is quite a difference, to be fair, when you see them like that. And considering the amount of time it took, and the fact that the total budget for this little operation was about 3p, that's not bad really. And that's your VW, so that's with the original wheels. I did, even though I didn't do the back wheels, I did silver the back wheel on that side just to make it a fair comparison, but you can still see that's with the thicker tyre, maybe a 0.5 millimetre extra I allowed on that one. But you can see it does look a little bit more like the kind of wheel that a supercar might have. On the other side, it's a lot more subtle on this side. You can see, I mean, from the side, it doesn't really look that much different when you look. You can tell there's something. You can tell the front wheel's slightly bigger. It's got a bit more presence. It doesn't look as sunk in as the back one. And that's with me. I've got the axles in the same position. It's only really when you turn it to that side that you can see, and you can see the tyre. It now looks like the back wheel's missing its tyre, which it never had. So with the red one, I did something a little bit different. I was a little bit more creative with the acrylic paints. I tried to give them like a little bit of a sunburst finish, if that makes sense. I did the whole thing in red and then just did the centres in orange. Again, I did 2 different tyre widths on this one. I gave it a bit more of a thicker lip, just as like a comparison. But then I realised I can sort of lean into that a little bit. Took it apart because it's only screws on that one. Swapped them around a little bit, and because I mean Merc C-Class is a rear-wheel drive, it's sort of got that Porsche 911 thing where the rear wheels have got like a deeper dish than the front. So to give you an idea of the cost of all this, I think heat shrink tubing costs about £4 for a box of a variety of different widths. A lot of them aren't that much use to you, if I'm honest. It's only really the 16mm diameter. That's definitely the best one. There's 1 or 2 other sizes in there that you can adapt. You can stretch with pliers. If it turns out, oh, that's a Porsche 911, I just did the front wheel on that side. But you can see the difference. It's very subtle, but subtle's good. And that's the blue one that I did on the other side of the silver Mercedes. It's just, like I said, just a bit of fun. And that's just another comparison shot, so you can see like a before and after, but all at the same time. So yeah, and the acrylic pens, I think they were £5 for about 30. So not an expensive endeavour really, and we've taken 4 old bones here and we've got the wheels pretty much sorted out already, and a lot of the time the wheels are the hardest bit. Well, as always, I hope that was some use to you, and as always, thanks for watching.